Why you want to collect some? Okay, today we're going to do something a little different than usual. That's two different sectors, one unrelated to Purim and one related to Purim. One not related to Purim is make your head think. This is the type of Gemara that the boys learn. And that is from the Sechta Makos. Sechta Makos belongs together with all the laws of monetary laws. Although it's not monetary, it's mostly the execution of lashes for a person who violated, after a warning, in front of two witnesses, violated certain commandments. Although there's no death penalty, but there are lashes. And the name of the Masechta, the tractate, is called Masechta Makos. Sometimes it's called Masechta Malkus. I want to share with you something that I felt was personal, because it had me and my father and I were discussing Friday night. And I asked a question. He said, very good question. That's the question that so-and-so asked. Then I tried giving an answer that's the answer that so-and-so gives. So I want to share this with you. It's a very, very interesting conversation, but you have to really have your head on your shoulders. You have to put your thinking caps on, because it's not story-like. So I'm going to, I also want to make mention that every time I give a shir, it's in merit of my very dear friend who shares my name and my father's name, Yitzchak ben Meir, who leads Rachamei Shemayim, needs God's mercy, compassion for him to have a refuah shlema. His name is Yosef Yitzchak ben Simachasya. I hope some of you, if not all of you, are saying some to him and having him in mind. His capital is a long one, Samachtes, because he's 68. Okay, let me hold on a second. Okay, so watch out for the sake of passes down. There's one more you needed. Okay, what I'm going to do first is get straight to the Gemara here. It's Masechta Makos 5b, Daf Hey Amud Beis. I have the actual Gemara in my hand, in front of me. I will ask you not to answer right now. Each one of the figures in the Megillah, Mordechai, Esther, Hasach. I don't know if he's not so famous. Who's Hasach? Give me a number. Very good. Esther had another name too. What was her other name? Very good. Mordechai had another name. I got you. I knew I could stump you. Stump the student. Okay. And also, Haman had another name. What was Haman's other name? Memuchan. Yeah. Is designated for misfortune. What's Mordechai's other name? Sachya. Not so well known. Sachya. Where is Haman's name hinted in the Torah? Gemara asks, not in Masechta Megillah, interestingly, not in Masechta Megillah, it's tractate Chulin. Voracious. Yeah, where? Wow. Whoa. Where? When Hamin ha'etz. Very good. What's the connection? It's because it has the same letters. Hamin ha'etz, is it from this tree that you ate? What does that have to do with Haman? So,
he wanted everything, and Haman wanted like everything.
Where'd you get this from?
Mrs. Jacobson, yesterday, she used Megillah.
Very good. But now you have to use Esther in HaTorah Minayim. There's also Esther found in the Torah, and there's Mordechai in the Torah. This week's parsha we have Mordechai's name, but let's skip that for now. We have plenty of weeks to go into that, and we'll get to the second Megillah. Let's learn. Let's start. Huh? Yeah. Okay. After we finish the Gemara Makos. Okay. Let's see the Mishnah here. It's you see where it says Mishnah? I don't have any idea. Okay. So it's like this. We mentioned last week that when witnesses are proven to be liars, and how do you prove a witness is a liar? Not by contradicting his testimony, by proving that even if the testimony is correct, you could not have been there because you were with us. So if two people come and say, how can you, Reuben and Shimon, testify, and they're not brothers, testify that on this and this day or this and this night, there was a murder that took place, so-and-so killed so-and-so, when you were not even there. You couldn't, you say that it happened in New York on a Sunday night. That Sunday night, you were eating in a restaurant with us in California at the same time. It was 7:30 there.
You really like New York and California?
I like New York and California, but it's far one from the other, far in a lot of ways. California style is very different than New York style. So what happens? We believe the second pair and the first pair are proven to be liars. What happens if they're proven to be liars? What do you do to them? Not just that we disqualify them from here on ever to testify again, but they get punished. What was their punishment? Whatever they wanted to plot, whatever plot they wanted to have this guy die as a murderer, they get the electric chair, not the electric chair, they get executed. Whatever they wanted to do, they claim the guy did something that you are liable for lashes, they get lashes. Okay, let's talk about the death penalty. They wanted to say, they claim that this person is a murderer, and they testify we saw the murder, and then we find out that they're liars, so they get punished. Now, the question is like this. At what stage? There are three stages in a testimony. You testified, but there hasn't been a verdict yet. There has been a verdict, but the guy wasn't executed. Or you succeeded. You liars succeeded in having this innocent person be executed. So the Mishnah says like this. I don't even know why I'm learning this Mishnah. I'm going to try it. Read it inside. It's very interesting. The halacha is as follows. Tell me if you ever heard of this halacha. That if the Eidim Zomimim, if they succeeded, the false witnesses called Zomimim, plotters, conspirators, if they succeeded in executing this person, they're not punished. What? If they plotted, they almost executed this person, but they didn't, they were caught lying before they had a chance to execute this person, then they're punished. So that doesn't make too much sense. But that's not the subject here, but I'll throw in the answer, Nachmanides. Ramban gives an answer. What kind of sense do you make out of that? If they plotted, we punish them. If they actually succeeded in executing the person, we don't punish them. Who has an answer to that question? Yes?
What
What is that supposed to mean?
it means that that they were planning, but if God actually made it fall through, then it was supposed to be.
Right, because we know that God protects the rabbis in a court. He stands. Elakim bitzav badaskel. If the person was actually executed, he probably deserved it. So they were plotting to kill someone who was guilty. Maybe not for this crime, maybe yes for this crime. They're guilty, then the plotters are not as bad off. But if you plotted to try to kill someone and God made sure that you wouldn't succeed, that means that you tried to kill an innocent person, therefore you're punished. This is the logic behind it, it says Nachmanides. Now, look at the Mishnah. It says like this. Ein ha'edim zomimim neherogim. However, we will not punish and execute the false witnesses ad sheyigamar hadin, until the verdict is given. What happens if there was no verdict yet? They testified, and before the Beis Din had a chance to even rule, two other witnesses come and say, wait, they're liars. Then we don't punish them because they didn't have any success whatsoever. Only there has to be a verdict. There has to be a verdict. So there's A, B, and C. A is before the verdict. B is after the verdict. C is after the execution. C, you don't punish them. A, you don't punish them. Only B. Shaharei. Now the Mishnah goes further. The Sadducees, you know what the Sadducees were. Heretical, they are the ones that didn't believe in Torah Sheba'al Peh. And they also fought against a lot of other beliefs, including the belief of neshama. They didn't believe that we have a neshama that will live on after a person dies. They didn't believe in that there's a soul that lives afterwards. They believe when you die, it's over. So they were heretics in many ways. The Sadducees, it's called the Sukim, and this goes back, look into footnote 44, look at footnote 4. They were a heretical sect in the Mishnah era, whose beginnings are traced to Tzadok. That's why they're called Sadducee or Saduki. The guy's name who started this whole movement was Tzadok, a disciple of Antigonus, Ish Socho. It all started when the Pirkei Avos, it says do not serve God. And it made it sound like do not serve God. You should serve God with the understanding you're not going to get rewarded. That was never said, but that's what their understanding was. And they gave up. That's the case. There's no reward. Then I don't believe in anything. And the whole Torah is not to be accepted. What they meant is, of course, there's reward, but don't do the mitzvah for the reward's sake, for ulterior motives. They understood to mean do it with the understanding you're not going to get rewarded. And if there's no reward, they started becoming heretics. And it all began with Tzadok. Denied the divine origin of the oral tradition and refused to accept the interpretation of the written Torah handed down by the sages. This sect wielded considerable power during the last 2 centuries of the Second Temple era and for a while during the rule of the Hashmonaean kings, Alexandriani. It's a couple hundred years before the Churban Beis Hamikdash, right around Hanukkah time, not far. The entire Sanhedrin consisted of Sadducees in that time. And then came Shimon ben Shattach, I don't know if you have that, might be not clear in the copy, was able to secure the resignation of the Sadducean judges through a series of debates in which he demonstrated the untenability of their positions and the strength of the sages' traditions. Okay. So what do the Sadducees say about Pasuk and Chumash? They say, no, it says nefesh b'nefesh, a life for a life. Only if you succeeded, then they get punished. Just the opposite of what we say. If they were successful, the first witnesses succeeded in their plot, then we punish them. If they weren't successful, they just plotted, but it didn't never materialize, they're not punished. That's what they say. It has to be only after they succeeded. The Zomim witnesses are not executed unless the accused has been executed as a result of their testimony. Shenamar, as it says, they brought a proof. It says in reference to punishing Zomim. Again, Zomim is the Hebrew word for plotters, liars. It says a life, a place of a life, in place of a life, meaning that they kill someone, they get killed, implying that the Hazama penalty is reserved for a case in which a life has actually been taken because of them. Here comes the part that I want to deal with. Amru lahem chachamim, so the rabbis rebutted and replied to the Sadducees. How could you say that? Kvar Nemar has not another verse already said, you are to do to them what they plotted to do to his or their brother. Now, a brother is only called a brother while he's alive. So it sounds like the person that they plotted against is still alive. Otherwise, he wouldn't be called a brother. That's what the Mishnah says. How do you explain a life for a life? It doesn't mean a life that actually killed a person. It means there was already a verdict to take a person's life away, which means the guy is not going to live. But once they already executed the person, it doesn't exist. Now, let's go back. The rabbis say against the Sadducees, remember, they're debating the Sadducees. What are they saying? You can't say that the Torah is talking about a person, witnesses who succeeded. Because if they succeeded, how do you explain the words, you shall do to them what they conspired to do against their brother? Their brother would not be called a brother after death. Along comes, so my question was, my father was, the Shabbos table, really? How about the Pasuk in Bereshis? It says, Hevel and Cain, right? Cain killed Hevel. What does Hashem say to Cain? Kol d'mei achicha. The sound of the blood of your brother is screaming from the earth. So he's called brother after he was dead. Furthermore, levirate marriage. If a person dies childless, a man dies childless, the wife marries the brother-in-law. What does it say? What's the purpose? Lahakim shein la'achiv hames. To establish a name for the brother that was deceased. So we see the word brother can be used for a person who dies. My father says, very nice, Yasalev. That's the Ritva's question. This question was asked 750 years ago by the Rishonim, someone who lived a couple generations after the Rambam, who was about a generation and a half after the Rambam. 750 years ago, he asked this question. He was one of many who asked this. Then I answered, wait a second. I have an answer. And what was my answer? My answer is like this. I said, wait a second, maybe there's a difference between real brothers or the fact we're all Jews and called brothers. If you're a real brother of flesh, the same blood, same father and same mother, then it makes no difference if you die or not. A brother is a brother, a sister is a sister. But the pasuk about witnesses is not talking about testifying against your actual brother. You can't testify against your brother. So it has to be another Jew who's called a brother. Why are Jews called brothers? What makes us brothers and sisters? Oh, wait a second. So the Gemara says we all have the same mitzvahs. The mitzvahs that we all have unite us together. The Gemara says that. Oh, if that's the case, then you can understand after death, you're no longer a brother or a sister. You know why? Because once a person dies, there's no more mitzvahs. So the unifying factor is gone. So if the Mishnah says that these witnesses are testifying against their brother, that brother must be alive. Because if he's dead, he wouldn't be called a brother. And my father said, give that answer. Not a very big chassid. Someone who was known to be a real an opposer to Chassidus. I felt very embarrassed, very uncomfortable. Really? I mean, I gave an answer that's sure. I'll tell you why the answer is not a good answer. Who says that mitzvahs is the key which unites all Jews? It goes much deeper than that. Neshama, as you said. We all have neshamas. We all have unity through our souls. We're part of one entity, part of God. Mitzvah or no mitzvah. So I asked my father, but the Gemara says that what unites the Jewish people are the mitzvahs. No, he said, well, you're misunderstanding. The Gemara is talking about a person who's not really Jewish. You know what a half-Jewish person is? We don't have that today, half-Jewish. Either you're not or you are. Half-Jewish means a slave that went through a procedure of mini gerus, it's called. And he's mechuyev in all the mitzvahs, except for the ones that women are not mechuyev in. Any mitzvah that women are mechuyev in, meaning he's not allowed to desecrate the Shabbos, every mitzvah that women have to keep, he has to keep. But not all the mitzvahs that regular men have to keep that are Jewish. But because he has some mitzvahs, much more than a non-Jew, who only have 7, and a few offshoots, the mitzvahs can also serve as a unifying factor. What? Do what? Not anymore today. It's not pertinent today anymore. But when we had, Eretz Yisrael, it was possible for one to go through a gerus, but not a real gerus. You're not a full-fledged Jew, but you have some common denominators with Judaism. It's interesting. It's a long story how to explain this, but I'm going to get into that right now. So listen to this. My father was saying to me, no, the Gemara is saying that even if it's about a person who does not have a nefesh, if there's a chiyuv and mitzvah, that can also unite. But that's not the only thing that unites Jews. We have a stronger level of unity. We are all Perek Lamed Beis in Tanya. We all have an neshama, which is a part of God. So of course we're brothers. On the contrary, after death, we're even more brotherly. You know why? Because Daba body. What makes people feel like you're not really brothers and sisters? Different bodies, different animal souls, But when a person passes on, all that goes away. So in fact, the brotherhood is strengthened, not weakened after death. So I said to my father, if that's the case, then the Ritva, the one who lived 750 years ago, is right with his question. How could the rabbi say, how could the rabbi say to the Sadducees that we have a proof from the Torah that the witnesses that conspired, the false witnesses, did not succeed? And the proof is, it says, brother, and you're only called a brother when you're alive. It's not true. A brother can become even non-relative brother. Jewish people who are called brothers would be brothers even after death too, because we all have neshamas. That doesn't change. We don't have any mitzvahs after death, but we have souls that unite us. So that being the case, the whole proof that the rabbis bring in the Mishnah goes down the drain. My father told me, you know what the answer is? The rabbis were talking to the Sadducees who don't believe in souls. The rabbis were saying to them, we would never use this pasuk as proof. We have other sources. But they were trying to ridicule the Sadducees. You don't believe in the idea of a soul having some kind of, germane unifying connection. You don't believe in all that. What do you believe in? Just the idea that we have commandments. Well, according to your theory, the word brother should be proof that the person must be alive. Because after death, according to you, there's no longer anything that unites Jews. So the rabbis were laughing at the Sadducees. We have other proofs. We don't need this proof. But according to your logic that there's no soul, then you have to believe what makes Jews brothers? Only mitzvah. If that's the case, when a person dies, there's no longer a mitzvah. If that's the case, then you guys are wrong. Because they were using their heresy to prove them wrong. That's what he answered me. And I felt that it was on the spot, like so fast, just like that. That really, I never forgot this whole conversation. It was on a Friday night many years ago. I was a kid. So he gave me a good mark for asking a good question, giving the wrong answer, but at least his answer was given by somebody. And then he told me what his answer is. Anyways, and later on, I actually put it in writing and and added many, many things to this and put it in a whole book form, like a 10, 15 page pilpul treatise, of going on and on and on and on and on.
Okay. So according to this, like, they were all connected through our souls, then why,
there's another pasuk. Then why is it only after if the guy passes away? Good question. The answer is we have another proof, which Mishnah doesn't even mention. Because it's talking Sadducees right now. They don't tell you the whole story.
Yeah.
If you want to know the real proof, the Torah says, Ka'asher zomam, as they plotted, not as they succeeded. There's other proofs also, but it's not from this proof. This was not the real source of evidence. By the way, in money matters, if they succeeded to punish a person monetarily, you owe this person, we testified that on this and this day, you borrowed money from this and this person, we were with you the whole time, you have never paid him back, something like that. Or we witnessed that you actually stole from this person so much money. A monetary issue, not a capital punishment issue. Then everyone agrees that even after the fact, we also punish them because you could always revert. Money can always be reversed. So in monetary laws, the law applies even after it's executed. But in capital punishment, that's where we have this dispute between the Sadducees and the rabbis. Okay. Let's go to the Megillah. I wanted to share with you now. Maybe next week, I will share with you something from the Haris Masechta in Shas. This is levirate marriage, where two brothers marry two sisters. And boy, is that complicated. It's the first Mishnah. It's the hardest tractate in Shas. And for that reason, it used to be, see, the boys learn, we go through every 8 years, we go through a cycle of 8 different Gemaras. We cover about 30 or 40 pages a year of the Gemara. And then it goes, but the cycle goes around again. So a merry-go-round. 8 years. And then the 9th year, we start over with the first year. It used to be 9. And the 9th one was taken out because it was too hard. Guys were complaining they can't, they just, the little generations go down, and we were having a problem, so they took it out. And I'd like to share with you, maybe next week, a small segment of an example of what that looks like, what that feels like. The first Mishnah, actually, very first Mishnah is an incredibly deep Mishnah and very intricate of that tractate called Yevamos. Yevamos means levirate marriage. So we'll do that. People are falling asleep already, so I might as well go to Masechta Megillah. Okay, let's go to Masechta Megillah now. Okay, so what was what Shevet was? Let me pass this down. What Shevet? What tribe did Mordechai come from? You don't know? Huh? Benjamin. But isn't he called Ish Yehudi? So it sounds like he's from Yehuda. How do you reconcile? Was he from Yehuda or from Benjamin? Mother from Yehuda, father from Benjamin. And also we'll soon get to the Esther Hadassah part.
Rabbi, I just have a question on what you did before.
Yeah.
So multiple witnesses before they were brought to trial. Were those people allowed to witness again?
No. Besides the fact that we're disqualified for good.
They didn't get a punishment when they were trying to get them.
Oh, you're talking about the ones that don't get punished. Yeah, they're disqualified. That we do. We get rid of them. In other words, they're no longer allowed to testify in court anymore, but we don't punish them. A lie is a lie. But if you're a liar, we can't trust you anymore. So that part, but the punishment to do to them if they wanted to do to others, that part we don't do. Good question. There's a lot of details about this, What happens to the other witnesses say? Not only is it true what they're saying, in fact, the story happened. This guy murdered someone, not on Sunday night, but the Thursday night before. As they're admitting the story is true. And we actually witnessed the story Thursday night. But when you say that it happened on Sunday night, that Sunday night couldn't have been. You could not have seen it on Sunday night because on that Sunday night you were together with us. What happens then? What happens if the second pair of witnesses admit that the story is correct? In fact, they testify, we know that it's correct, but your guy's a liar. Are they still punished or not? That's another question. A lot of,
Oh, wow.
and it gets very, very complicated. What happens if the second pair are found to be liars? The third pair comes and says, how can you, second pair, say that you were there in California when you were with us in Florida? And the fourth pair come, how can you say in Texas? Does it keep on going?
Wow. There's a lot of very complicated.
Yes, it is. Okay, let's see it inside now. This is just a small sample of what the Bochum learned. This is just the beginning. Then you have a Tosfos. Then you have a Marsha. Then you have that. Then you look it up in the Shulchan Aruch. And then you go. It's fun, actually. It's extremely brain teasing. It's fun if you can get it, but it's painful if you don't. Why? If you don't get it, why is it painful?
Yeah.
If you why would you not get it, or why is it painful if you don't get it?
No.
Well, why is it painful if you don't get it? Everything is painful. It's always painful when you're trying to work and your brain doesn't figure things out. It hurts. Very hurtful when you feel like, am I stupid or something? No one likes to feel that way, and you're not. It's just it's very what?
Yes.
Okay, but the very fact you have to ask someone else makes you feel, how come I couldn't figure it out myself? We had a teacher, not we had a teacher, there was a teacher that I taught together with in Morristown. I was teaching there. Never gave you an answer. Yeah, many, many years ago. So when I was teaching in Morristown, well, one left. So when I was teaching in Morristown, the other teacher's name was Rabbi Lipsker, Fitzy Lipsker. But he was involved in the accident with my wife, so he's not here anymore. But he was a phenomenal teacher. He would like, his wife used to say that he would prepare the material by learning the material 4 times. That he should have a clear understanding of what's going on in the Gemara. And he shouldn't have any questions himself. Or if he had, give yourself answers. Now he would have 18 students in the class. And now he would learn for every student. I think I once mentioned this. Okay, Mendel. I know how Mendel thinks. He's probably going to ask me this question. So I'll give him this answer, but he's not going to like this answer. He'll ask, he spent about 10 minutes for each. So it's a lot of minutes. Spent 3 hours. And he told his wife, don't answer any phones. I'm in a different world right now. And he was so prepared for every single question everyone would ask. And in the class, exactly how what of a chance of that happening? Every question was, but he never gave you the answer. He would always force you, give the answer yourself. Come on, think. And you would start thinking on your own, oh, why didn't I figure this out myself? Why didn't I figure it out? So that's a good teacher. He came out of the class sweating on a freezing cold day. Put so much effort into every single student, and he was tough. And when you know your turn was to say the Gemara, you know you're going to be interrogated and you're on trial. And I remember one story. I'm not going to go into the details who this person was. It was actually a chiropractor who was a student there in the school, and he was a good head, but he was new. And he had a chavrusa who was much smarter than him, much more. So the chavrusa, he wanted to make sure that he's ready for this drilling. So he was, and it's half an hour before the shir, and he was so nervous. I don't know why. And then he finally said, well, what he thinks the right shot in the Gemara is. And it's come, no, you got the whole thing wrong. Oh, no. What's the right? So he told him the right shot. Phew. And just in time, he got his noob shot right. And now he's ready for the shir. What happens in the shir? He gets called on. And he says the Gemara. What? Where'd you get this noob shot from? And he explained why it makes no sense. The teacher explained to him, Rabbi Lipsker explained to him why it doesn't make any sense. He began to realize he's right. It doesn't make any sense. Who can tell me the right shot? Guess who answered? The guy who misled him tells him the right shot. What was the right shot? The one that he originally thought. In other words, the guy, and this guy I wanted to kill this guy. He misled me and takes all the credit for my, and the person who did that always felt sorry, never wanted to forgive himself for not telling Rabbi Lipsker his true story, that he got false credit and that guy got falsely accused. He felt bad because when he passed away, felt like he never was able to tell him the truth. You feel bad, carrying baggage, so many years I fooled someone. I fooled the teacher. Although it was very hard to fool, but this time he succeeded. Anyway, he was an unbelievable teacher, Mr. Rabbi. And he was sharp and entertaining, funny also. Mama's a comedian, entertaining, sharp, and he would eat lawyers for lunch. You think you had a good head, you're a lawyer, and a lot of stuff, he would eat you for lunch. Yeah? Oh, yeah? No. And I was drilling you so much that the guy would feel like, okay, I'm sorry. You're right. I watched this person, and it's amazing what kind of teacher he was. He was a legendary teacher. Okay. Let's see the Gemara Megillah. So turn to the bottom of the first page, which is the bottom of Yud Beis Amid. No, 1 second. Hold on a second. First page. Okay, I'll read it from here. Wait a second. Okay, so it's the page 12b. Where it says Ish Yehudi Haya B'Shushan Abira. Then it says Ish Yemini. Ish Yehudi, Ish Yemini. Which one is it? It was a Jewish man. Yehudi sounds like he comes from Shevet Yehuda in Shushan, and he was called a Benjaminite. So how do you explain the apparent discrepancy here? So the Gemara said, you have the page? I don't know if it's this page here. Can't see this far. If you have the Megillah page, it should be on 12b, be the first page. Yeah, and then the next page is a very short page. So the first page should be as follows. Micah Omar, what does the verse mean to teach by mentioning all these names? Yehudi or Benjamin? If the verse comes to trace Mordechai's lineage, which it would seem to be, no, the question is not what the question I'm asking, it's a different question. Why is it that we are saying, my mistake, I made a mistake here. The question is not, was he from Shevet Yehuda or was he from Shevet Benjamin? The question is, it starts saying who his father is, who his father was. What's his father's name? Ben Yair. Ben Kish, Ish Yemini. His father's name was Yair, his grandfather's name was Kish, and he was from Shevet Benjamin. Why are we only listing his grandfather, his father, and his grandfather? How about his great-grandfather? Where do you stop? If the verse comes to trace Mordecai's lineage, then go all the way back to Benjamin. Let it continue to trace his lineage all the way back to Benjamin. Also let him trace his lineage on Benjamin. Ella Maishnahani. Why then are these three names different? Actually, it's his great-grandfather too. Why only go back to the three generations? Go back to Benjamin, which is much more. And the answer is Tana Kulan al Shmoy Nikru. The Bryce expanded all these names, citing the verse Yair, Shimi, and Kish are different designations of Mordechai himself. They're not just his father, grandfather, and great-grandfather. They're describing the power of Mordechai. Why do we say he's Mordechai, the son of Yair? What does Yair mean? Light. That through his prayers, what did he do? Sheheir Einayim Shel Yisrael. People were very, very down. And through his tefillos, he was able to give a bright sight to people, for hope. Sheheir Einayim Shel Yisrael B'tfilasai. He was a son who brightened. He was the son of Yair, meaning he was a person who gave hope and light to the rest of the generation. Ben Shimi, sounds like Shama to hear. Ben Shema El Filasai. He's called the son of Shimi, not only because his grandfather's name was Shimi, but rather God heard his tefillah. Ben Kish, Kish means like knock knock. Shehikishu al Shari Rachamim. He's called the son of Kish, which is son of, he's the great grandfather. But why is he referred to? Why are we giving him his lineage after his great grandfather? Not only because it was a great grandfather, because Mordechai himself also had the idea of Kish, knocked. He knocked on the gates of mercy, begging the Jews that he be saved, and they were open for him. So he had the power not just to help other people, make other people's lives change, but he also knew how to daven where Hashem would answer him, and he knew how to knock on the door of the throne of mercy, gates of mercy, and he succeeded. Now the Gemara asked the question I asked before. Karele Yehuda, He's called Yehudi rather. Alma, so we see the Yehuda Ka'asi. Thus we see that he came from the tribe of Yehuda. And then the same pasuk, two words further, V'kaber le'yemini. It calls him a Yemini from a Yamin. At the end of that very verse, it says Ish Yemini. Thus we see that he came from the tribe of Benjamin, which was his actual tribe. Amar Rav Nachman, so Rav Nachman answered, Mordechai was crowned with his name. I.e., take a look at the next page. We got all the different praises. He got his name both of his father and mother's tribe, as the Gemara now explains. Omar Rabba bar Barchana Rabbi Shua ben Levi. That means as follows: Avim ben Yamin. His father, we know for sure he was from Benjamin. That we know for sure. There's no question that his father was from Benjamin. And why are we calling him Yehuda? Because he had a yichus. Yehuda is a very important tribe. On his mother's side, he was also from Shevet Yehuda. By the way, these are the only two tribes besides Shevet Levi that are left today. All the Leviim come from Levi. Kohanim and Leviim come from Levi. But besides that, all the Jewish non-Kohanim come from either mostly Yehuda and some from Benjamin. The only two. Because
of the exiling of the 10 tribes.
Yeah. So these two tribes were known to be the most important. Avim and Benjamin, Be'im and Yehuda. This is before the yeah. So Avim, Benjamin, Be'im and Yehuda. That's one answer. So it's both. But Abban and Amri, the rabbis say, no. The pasuk is not saying that he had lineage from both tribes, but rather Yehuda and Benjamin, the tribe of Yehuda and Benjamin, wanted to take credit for Mordechai. Now, how is that? How could Yehuda take credit if he doesn't come from Shevet Yehuda? The answer is we'll soon see. The families of Yehuda and Benjamin were bragging rights, which vied to one another for the credit of Mordechai's birth. Mishpachas Yehuda, Omeres, the Mishpacha of Yehuda, the family of the tribe of Yehuda would say, thanks to me that Benjamin is alive. Because who is Mordechai's grandfather? Shimi ben Gera. You know Tanakh? Shimi ben Gera cursed King David HaMelech. And he was supposed to be executed for doing so. But David did not want him to die. Saved his life. And thanks to that, Shimi was a father. And he fathered Yair, who fathered Mordechai. If Shimi would have been executed, there would be no Mordechai in the world. So thanks to David HaMelech, who comes from Shevet Yehuda, that there's a Mordechai. Without King David, you wouldn't have a Mordechai. Therefore, Yehuda bragged, Mordechai is ours. I caused that Mordechai be born. For King David, who was a Zion of Yehuda, refrained and did not kill Shimi ben Gera, who was an ancestor of Mordechai. Benjamin, however, said, well, yeah, but he's from our tribe. He's in fact descended from me, so they had bragging rights, each one. Now, Rabbi says something very strange. They were all not bragging. They were all complaining. In other words, this is before the miracle happened. And thanks to Mordechai, we got into big trouble. Mordechai refused to, bow to Haman. And this is what Haman got angry. And he decided, not just Mordechai, he said, well, all Jews are the same. And it would be below his dignity just to kill one Jew, Mordechai, so he wanted to kill everyone. So it's thanks to Mordechai that we all suffered. We're all suffering. So Rabbi says the other way around. The congregation of Israel said the opposite. They assigned the blame, not the credit. It was the blame for Mordechai's birth to Yehuda and Benjamin. Since they considered Mordechai the source of their troubles, therefore they said, look what Look what a Yehuda did to me, what a Benjamin did to me. What does it mean what a Yehudi did to me? So Gemara explains. Ma'asal Yehudi, that David HaMelech had not killed Shimi. If only David would have killed Shimi, Mordechai would not be born, and we wouldn't have this whole Gezerah of Haman would not have happened. Now, before the Purim miracle, the Jews were not happy with Mordechai. In fact, it almost seems like Esther wasn't happy with him. Another question. She was saying, why do you have to provoke him? Why are you provoking him? Question is very strong. What did you expect him to do? Bow? So Beit Zora. He had but anyways, the Jews were complaining. Well, Mordechai is the one. He's a zealot, and and because of him, we're all in trouble right now. This would not have happened if he would have not been so such a fighter. Why did you have to provoke Haman? Leave him alone. So they were blaming. It's your fault, Yehuda. David HaMelech, because of David HaMelech, we're suffering today. And the other one says, because of Binyamin, we're suffering today. After all, he comes from Shevet Binyamin. So they were not giving credit to Yehuda and Binyamin, they were blaming Yehuda and Binyamin. Interesting. This is before the miracle, of course. Afterwards, they obviously did not blame him anymore. Okay. Now, if you skip a little bit here and go to the next page, 13a2, or A13a, 13a. On the next page. 13, I can't just look out. But
I don't think we have 13.
you have where it says about Hadassah and Esther. What was her real name? Okay. You know what? So was her real name Esther or Hadassah? And there's two opinions. One said Hadassah is her real name. Why would she call it Esther?
To hide identity.
One is because her identity was hidden the whole time. And why her identity was hidden, we have 6 different answers as to why Mordechai did not want her identity to be divulged. But another answer is, another way of looking at it is she's called Esther, a nickname, because she was like the moon. Now, how do you spell Esther, by the way, in English? E-S-T-H. Why is there an H? Because her real name is Esther, which is an Aramaic word for the moon. She was a shining light in the dark. It was a very dark time. And she was a shining light, mysterious, still dark. It's dark and we still don't know what's going on, what's going to happen. But she was like a shining light in the dark. And also she had a radiant face that made her look like the moon shining in the middle of the night. So that was her nickname. But her real name was Hadassah. Others say no, her real name was Esther. And why is she called Hadassah? Because Hadassah is a myrtle branch. It has a very fragrant, pleasant fragrance, aroma to it. And likewise with her, or she had a very pale complexion. She had a green-looking complexion. And it says, although she looked beautiful before, because of the tsuras of her worry, it had affected her looks. She began to get very pale. She looked greenish, as if she's suffering from some kind of disease, liver disease. She didn't look good. And in spite of that, everyone found favor. She was able to, people looked at her and they said, wow, in spite of her not being attractive at that point. How old was Esther, by the way? You think you're a young lady, huh? You know how old she was? 75 years old.
There are 2 opinions, no?
Huh?
There are 2 opinions, right? She was experienced.
There are a few. You find a few opinions on everything, but the more accepted view is that she was not young. She was older. Mordechai was even older. So it's interesting.
75 years old and
That's
she
what-
got chosen.
Mm-hmm. She didn't look 75, obviously.
How old does she look?
I don't know.
How old was Esther?
To him, it makes no difference.
Yeah, that's true. Because Ahasuerus died. And his son-
Wait,
Okay.
did she have a kid at 75 years old?
Mhm. If you say she was 75,
Sarah, they knew.
What's her life after Megillah?
what?
What is her life after?
Very
Megillah?
very good question. We don't know too much about it. We do know that she left to Eretz Yisrael. She lived in Israel for a while. We don't know how long. And she obviously came back, but she's not buried in Eretz Yisrael.
Just she or like with Mordechai?
Apparently, she was not allowed to be with Mordechai anymore. She said, "Kasher avadati avadati." Once she willingly,
Went to the
Goodbye.
she cried,
Did she have
losing Mordechai.
kids with Mordechai?
What?
Did she have any kids?
No. Doesn't she only had? Seems like it didn't. There was no children. But it seems like it's not known. At least I've never heard of any children before. We know that Achashverosh died in 2 years after the Megillah story. That we do know. When Mordechai passed away, I don't know. And when Esther passed away, we don't know. I don't know.
Does that
Maybe.
mean that Esther took control of the throne?
What?
Does that mean that Esther took control of the throne, or did someone step on her?
Her son, Darius II, took control.
But he was like 2
Obviously.
years old then.
He was 6. No, actually, he was born earlier. He was born in
He was
the
alive during the time of the Megillah story?
Megillah story happened in a span of 11 years, by the way.
Okay.
actually 9 years, sorry, 9 years. So she had a trial with him much earlier. So when 3404, when the miracle of Purim happened, and the building of the Beis Hamikdash was 3408, 4 years later, Hashem passed away 3406. And 3406 is when he took over with a young kid, a 10-year-old kid, 11-year-old kid, but he was officially considered
Kids were very different then.
yeah. Some say it was not really her. So there are always different opinions about whether that was actually her kid or not. Okay, we'll leave it for next week. Keep the copies, don't lose it.
Zafia, Hadassah,
Memuchon.
Daniel.
Some say Memuchon was Daniel, actually.
Yeah.
Memuchon was Haman.
So Haman was Haman, and who was Daniel?
Who's what?
Haman was Haman, and who was Daniel?
Hasach.
I'm gonna try to remember, but I need every Shabbos I have like my fun facts that I try
Right,
to.
the Mordechai's name is hinted in the Targum Unclus on the word Mordror, Mari Dachia. Mordror is a kind of incense, very bitter, but it gives off a very powerful odor. Mordror.
And then
Okay, that can be an next week.
I mean,